Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So now it's time to discuss my thoughts and feelings on episode 7 of the Wheel of Time TV series. This was called The Dark Along the Ways. It clocked in at just about 59 minutes in length, I think. So to recap, we begin the kind of like a prologue scene with Tigraine Mantir, who is this Aiel warrior, and she's fighting off lots of soldiers coming to attack here. This is, I think, a depiction of the Battle of the Shining Walls. And she is pregnant, so obviously, she is trying to, fend off all these warriors and in the meantime protect her unborn child and everything. There's obviously some significance here to this scene, and that, of course, I think, is revealed to us towards the end of the episode. Then we are brought to the Ways again, which we finished on in episode 6. And I have to admit, I was a tiny bit disappointed with the Ways sequence here. I didn't think it was too bad, but I had very high expectations of, the Ways, and I love the sequence, both building up and a kind of preamble to the Ways scenes in the story in the books, and the actual scenes in the Ways themselves. So yeah, I was just a tiny bit disappointed. Also, they have the horses with them in the books, and I think that actually helps with the suspense and everything in the books. And they don't have the horses; they're obviously absent. They all bolted towards the end of episode 6. But to me, I was kind of hoping to see more, just a bit more kind of on that kind of set piece. More ramps, more bridges. It should be a bit more terrifying than it kind of looked for me. I know we had the Trolloc kind of introduced, and that was kind of cool, but the rest of that sequence to me was just a tiny bit disappointing. Some good character interplay though, and some really good placement of music. If I can just kind of just put a positive in that, I actually liked the way they used music in this whole sequence. And when we see kind of Rand and Egwene cuddled up together, you get a really good little musical piece there, which I really enjoyed. And I just like to notice those things. I think music can often be forgotten about in TV series, and how important a part it plays in creating the moods of the whole piece. So yeah, and they obviously managed to escape from the Ways. Moiraine managed to create a ray gate, whilst we see Nynaeve exercising her powers once again in quite a spectacular fashion. Obviously in the books, Nynaeve's powers aren't really kind of something we know about as much until I think a bit later on. Certainly that doesn't happen in the book itself, that whole kind of the way that sort of unfolds. We then see our, these core characters arrive in Fal Dara, and Loial gives an explanation that Fal Dara is a fortress city. Then they encounter within the fortress itself Lord Aegomar, and Moiraine manages to persuade him with a little bit of difficulty, not with too much difficulty though, that they need to wall up the way gates to stop lots of trollops and dark things coming through said way gate. Quite liked that scene, and I thought Lord Aegomar seemed okay to me, as for his portrayal. Now we cut to a scene, I think, where we see Perrin spotting Padan Fain in like a kind of marketplace area. I have a little bit of an issue with the really noticeable absence of Padan Fain in this TV series so far, and what their intention with him is, because they've also missed out. And this is obviously, I'm talking about the books again here, but The Eye of the World, he's featured in, I think, chapters 46 and 47, and some explanation is given to why he is in Fal Dara with them and what's happened prior to that, where he's actually followed them through the Ways and everything. And there's some really good stuff there, but they've missed that out, and that's an interesting absence or an interesting choice. I'm not sure I would agree with that. I think, Padan Fain, he's not necessarily a central character in the first book, but I think he needs to be featured a bit more, so that some understanding, since he is a character in the TV series, if he's suddenly kind of reintroduced in the last episodes and things kind of unfold with him, it might just not make as much sense to people new to the Wheel of Time as to exactly what is the role of this guy. He's been made so mysterious. It's perhaps there's going to be some confusion with his character later on, is all I'm sort of saying on this. But yeah, I mean, I just would have had a bit more of Padan Fain in this episode. I think it to me that was interesting, to say the least. Some really good tense scenes though with characters again, and some good drama. Some romance is introduced to us a bit sooner than we get in the books here with Nynaeve and Lan. I actually didn't mind that too much. I thought that was well built up to as well. An excellent scene between Moiraine and Lan on the balcony before the Nynaeve and Lan scene, which I want to point out. I love that moment. That's again showing, I think, some really good characterization. I love when Lan goes, says to Moiraine, you're not usually one to dwell on the past. I think he says, I'm trying to remember exactly what he says here. I think I've written it down somewhere. He says, it's unlike you to dwell on the past. And I really liked that bit. And just generally, there's still some, a lot of good acting, I think, in this series. And Moiraine as Rosamund Pike as Moiraine and Daniel Henney as Lan are, for me, two of the really strong performances we get in this episode in particular. But yeah, I mean, again, we're actually introduced, right, so we're introduced to Min in this episode as well, but it's interesting that she seems very different to me in my imagination of Min from the books to how she's portrayed here by Kay Alexander, and she's much more serious, a little bit less friendly than the Min I kind of grew to know, and I was desperately reading back through the book trying to think, is she like this to begin with? I don't remember Min being like this, and I couldn't seem to find anything that suggests that Min was kind of, I mean, she doesn't really feature, I don't think, very much actually towards the end of the Eye of the World. So it's kind of interesting, the decision they've taken with Min as well. And so, I'm kind of left, and I want to again come back to the absence of Mat. And that might be because they've recast the Mat character in season 2, but his absence, not including him in this part of the story, is strange to me, and I do wonder if it's because of the whole recasting thing and there's something going on there that we just don't know about from the showrunners. So again, interesting to know kind of what was really happening underneath the surface with all of that. But overall, even though I've been a touch more negative, I guess, and more mixed feelings around this particular episode, I did quite enjoy it overall. But I think it's probably, for me, and you are welcome to disagree, welcome discussion and your opinions below in the comments. But for me, it's the weakest one since the first episode. This, for me, is the weaker episode since episode 1. I've loved and pretty much been fairly positive about the series since episode 2. But this is the first time for me we've had a slight slip up. And I would say my explanations for that, that view are just that, there's missing sequences here which I think are important for the final episodes, if they're, and just some choices with things that I don't think necessarily tie in the world building aspect of Wheel of Time quite so well either. And people new to the Wheel of Time may have some confusion around, things that haven't perhaps been bridged quite as well. And that's my reason. I think this episode could have done a little bit more. I spent a lot of time on characters again, on core characters, but it needs to bring in some more of the world, I think, to the viewers to really make them appreciate the scope of this story. And even though this is just a TV series, I just think a bit more could be done there. But still, it doesn't mean I think that the episode is going to finish on a low. I think they can still finish this on a high. There's opportunities to make this a really good, spectacular finish to the series and everything. And of course, the key revelation at the end of this is Rand's identity, which, again, the whole Dragon Reborn thing has been concealed in the TV series to this point, so they chose that and I understand that choice actually to make it a little bit more mysterious and not so obvious. Anyway, thanks everyone as always for watching this video. Do feel free to like and subscribe and all of that if you like kind of Wheel of Time content. I will be doing more videos on this in the future, including the final episode, which I must admit the final episode may not go up until the new year because the final episode is Christmas Eve and I am going to be with family over Christmas and everything, so I'm going to really struggle to get a video up, so I may as well just say I think I won't get that video uploaded until the new year. Otherwise, thanks very much as always for watching, and I hope you enjoy your weekends, and from me it's bye for now.